for holding on. You know, today's session is also one of those interesting ones. When I say interesting, it means we are not going to be bogged down with formulas, and we're going to be seeing how to get out like instant value for decision makers. How you bring out the value in your report. So it's titled Understanding Data Storytelling with Power BI. Our presenter is Jennifer Okeke, and this session is brought to you by your BizEdge. We started this series in 2020, the COVID year. I think we started like maybe May or June, and we used to run this on Sundays. No, on Wednesdays, because then everybody was at home. People had a lot of time. That was the year people were buying online courses en masse. People were attending online trainings, boot camps. So people lost touch with the one-on-one, like live sessions. People got sick of recorded classes, and for us, we found this as a way to, without people leaving their houses, they can be in a class again and ask questions. The trainer is live, the moderator is live, you are live, and everything is happening. Not in somebody's recorded it and giving it to you to watch. So that was how this started in 2020, and we've kept it alive. We've changed the time to Sunday when Wednesdays became practicable anymore, practical, and people had to go back to work and they were tired. So if you need trainings on Excel, Power BI, financial modeling, we are one of your best options. So make sure you check us out. Maybe I'll share our link. Then we have online classes that you can take if you want self-paced, online course. And we have a Canadian entity which renders same consulting training services. So you can consult with us or refer people, if you have family members who've moved to Canada, US, or UK, and for them, this might be the preferable entity to engage. And to the main part of today's presentation, our presenter is Jennifer, and she's already live. You can even see her ready. So I'm going to get out of the way soon. So she's passionate about data analysis. I like the way she puts it, that she wants to help the decision makers, see, make data-driven decisions, see the insights. So it's not so much about trying to do something so uh, archaic, difficult to understand, and make you look as if you are superior to everybody else, but rather to, even if it requires using what is in quote simple, but ensuring that people get the insights and the value, and a lot of focus on visualization techniques. So we're going to learn from her today. I'm going to share her LinkedIn in the chat so you can connect with her. But right now, I'm going to get out of the way and let her do a presentation to us. So, Jennifer, over to you. I'm going to turn off my camera, turn off my mic, stop sharing so you can have full control. Okay, your audio has gone. So you
Okay.
might need to share your screen. But yes, we hear you now. Thanks. Go on.
Okay, so as my screen share is currently loading
Okay.
my source, but then okay, I'll just introduce myself a bit before I start. So my name is Jennifer Okeke. I have passion for data storytelling. Actually, as a data analyst, I believe that um, when you are relating with stakeholders, you should be able to properly define your insights. Because why you are employed as a data analyst is to be able to draw insights from your data. Aside from doing all the technicalities of being a data analyst, I believe that the whole point of the data analysis is to draw insights, right? So that's this one skill every data analyst must have. So my screen is about to start now. So let's go straight into the slides and start the webinar. Hope we can see my screen.
It's saying loading at my end.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Now, yes, I see you. I think we all can see your screen. Yes, you can
Okay.
carry
So
on.
So understanding data storytelling with Power BI while observing best practices. So let's go ahead. So the first thing I will be looking at is the introduction. So then we'll look at the concept of data storytelling. We'll also go into the dashboard design, best practices for dashboard design. Then we'll look at a case study. Of course, we can't end the session without looking at an actual dashboard and how we can make it better on Power BI. So we'll start. Go ahead with that. Apologies again. It seems that there's some technical difficulties from my end. Please, I'm trying to adjust that. I apologize once more.
Okay. But actually, we still see your screen. I don't know if maybe there might actually, it might be that we are seeing what we are supposed to see.
Yes, you can see my screen, but the problem is that there's a lag from my end. I don't know whether it's from Microsoft Teams because it's not usually supposed to be like this. And I'm using Google Sheets to present, so maybe
Okay,
we can.
let's test because it might just be something you think. So let's test. Go maybe do something, tell us, and then I will tell you maybe we are seeing what you're doing.
Okay. Okay, can you see what I'm doing?
You
I
moving
just
your
finished.
mouse on, you are now on did you know in 20,
Yes,
you've
I
gone back
finished.
to table of contents.
Okay.
Do you think there's a lag?
Yes. Okay.
You are now in slideshow.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Is it working fine? Do you think this is what we should be seeing?
Yes. Yes, I'm seeing yes. This is what you're supposed to be seeing.
Yeah, table of contents. You're now in table of content.
Okay, great. Great. So you can see my table of contents. So I'll
Yeah,
start with introduction,
cool.
concept of data storytelling, best practices in dashboard design, and also the case study, cheap school. So aside from learning all about data storytelling, I'll talk a lot about it, but also it would be good if we get some practical insight into it, like see how the dashboard is supposed to be designed, because nowadays we have a lot of dashboards on the internet. We have dashboard on Twitter and even on LinkedIn, and people will be like, this is my newest dashboard, and some of them look great. So why some of them don't look so great? So I would believe that because people don't know much about data storytelling and how data is supposed to be represented on a dashboard, that is why some dashboards look the way they do. So me personally, I have some passion for data storytelling. I believe insights should be relatable and should be easy to point out and pick out by a stakeholder, because that's why you are there as a technical person that knows more about data. So let's go straight to the next thing. So the next thing, before we talk about the introduction to data storytelling, I wanted to point your attention to data itself, because in the world now, data is currently increasing. So as at 2018, data was about 33 terabytes, 33 zettabytes, rather. That is about 1 billion gigabytes or terabytes. So that is a lot of data as at 2018. Now, going further to 2020, data increased to 64 zettabytes. And in 2021, it also increased again to 74 terabytes. And in 2025, it's set to increase more to 175 terabytes. And we know know that data is continually increasing, and we need people that will make sense of that data. Just imagine we have a lot of data analysts that is familiar with everything complex, like you said, VBA for Excel, and probably knows how to do a lot of complex DAX formulas. But then when it comes to relating these insights, people that actually needed to make decisions, you are stuck and don't know how to talk to your stakeholders. So that is one skill that every data analyst should have. You should be able to relate with your stakeholders in a way that, oh, if they see this, okay, that, let's say insight A gives insight into the sales of the business at a particular quarter, and you are just announcing numbers. You had $200 from the last quarter, and this quarter we have about $400. How does that tell a story? How will the stakeholder relate? How will you relate with the emotions of the stakeholders to make decisions as regards that particular business? So that is why data storytelling is important. So let's go to the next slide. Hope we can see my slide. Oh, I'm still in content.
Okay, so you've gone to the next slide, right?
Yes.
Okay, now this time around you are still in table of content for us. Do you want to go back and go forward? Maybe like go back to table and then go forward. Maybe it will trigger it.
Okay, please hold on.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes. Okay.
I think the issue is the network
Oh,
issues.
okay.
So
What?
please, can you give me 10 minutes to quickly reiterate my network so that I can share my screen again and can start over? I apologize for the
Oh,
whole technical difficulties. I actually came in earlier and
yeah, it
everything
came in
was
like
fine on
15
time.
minutes before. Okay, no problem. If you think it's the network, like, so you will
Mm.
switch. Is it like you will switch to another network or you will restart the network device?
Yes, I'll stick to another network.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All
Just
right.
give me some time. I
Oh,
don't want this to be going off and on.
off
It's
and
very
on. Makes sense.
professional.
That's true. All right. Thanks for even notifying us. So it's and now I don't have to say it to everybody. They've all heard that that's what is happening right now. Yeah, and everyone. Just to again remind you that she's trying to switch her network, so it's not like maybe something is wrong for those who maybe just are worried about what's happening. Oh, okay. I see Emmanuel's comment. Okay. She's actually disconnected that computer for now. There are three of oh, I think I know why you think it's not the network. So she joined via three devices. So the one that she's presenting with, she has had to disconnect that one. So for sure, she's no longer within this session now prior to why she switches. Okay. I would maybe just share about the session details so that you will have something showing on the screen in the interim. And I'm monitoring. Once she's back, you know, I will, especially if she joins and is not instantly make a speaker, I will make her a speaker and also stop sharing my screen. Okay, I see all the interesting conversations. Uh, okay, when she's back in, we can ask her to if that's if she's only going to share slides. If she's going to do a demo, then that becomes more tricky. But again, since we've almost waited the whole period she needs to switch, well, we should just keep hoping that when she's back in, that the network issue is gone and the remainder will be smooth. You can share. Yeah, I see Shea and Timmy's suggestion. Maybe I'll bring it up to her to send to. Okay. Okay, I see Manuel's additional comment. When you are presenting and sharing at the same time, network, I mean, performance issues. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see what Timmy said that if I should even ring her. Apologies, everyone. I'm trying to also in parallel contact her via.
For the brief for the break in transmission. So I would prefer I somebody suggested I share the link to or share my slide so they can present for me instead. So I'll be dropping the link to my slide just in case this happens again, although everything is set up already. Apologies for the technical difficulties. It's already 30 minutes into the webinar already, so I will not be as slow as I'll be fast as possible, please. So just bear
No
with me. I
problem.
apologize. So
No
let's go
problem.
ahead. Let's go straight into it. So basically, this is data storytelling, right? So I really want everybody to feel the heartbeat of our stakeholders. Because it's their business, and we being data professionals, we just want to do our technical stuff and move on with it. But it's not the case for the stakeholders because they are the owners of the business, and these are people you relate with in terms of the business. So we must be able to tell them what we find from our data. We must be able to let our stakeholders know what we got from our data. So let's go straight into it. So we'll be looking at some introduction. I'll introduce you to data storytelling. Then also we'll look through the concept of data storytelling and also best practices in dashboard design. And lastly, we'll look at a case study that is Cheap School. After I'm talking about data storytelling, I'll take you through how a dashboard is supposed to look like on Power BI. So let's go straight to the facts. So as I said previously, I already mentioned this. Fortunately, my slide wasn't showing for this. In 2018, data was said to be about 33 zettabyte. That is about 1 billion terabyte. That's a lot of data. And we need people to actually make sense of this data. It's not just punching fancy codes on VBA and knowing how to write the most complex DAX formulas. Somebody actually has to make sense of this data because this data will be used to make decisions in future. And this was the data as at 2018. Just imagine, and it has increased significantly over the years. At 2020, it was about 64 zettabytes. In 2021, it was about 79 zettabytes. And in 2025, it's estimated to be about 175 zettabytes. This is a forecast. It's possible it might be more than this because we can't tell until 2025 comes. So let's go straight into it. What is data storytelling? I would like to throw a question to the audience, but we don't have the time, so I'll just go straight into it. But if it's fine, can I throw a question to the audience? I want to really understand when you say data storytelling, what comes to mind? Because I want this to be a very interactive session. So I don't know if anybody can raise up their hand to tell me what they think is data storytelling.
Okay. So you can type in chat and you can also signal me with a raise of hand to unmute you or to give you ability to unmute. Okay, I see someone's hand is up, so I'm going to promote Olamileko as his presenter. And done. So yes, Olamileko, you can unmute. Promoted you as a.
Okay, good evening. So
Good evening.
a quick
Okay, go
one.
ahead.
Data storytelling simply just is the act of visualizing data in order to assist organizations to draw insights and make decision.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I
thank
think
you.
two more people raised their hands as well. I don't know if you can unmute just one more person so we can have an opinion from another person, please.
Yes, I've presented Beatrice too, so she can also, yes, go ahead, please.
Hello, can you hear me? Beatrice speaking.
Yes, yes, we can.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
From my little knowledge of data presentation, data storytelling is presenting your information in a graphical way or diagrammatical way to make it easy for people to be able to interpret and
Okay.
for stakeholders and people to be able to make meaningful decisions and plannings with it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Beatrice, and thank you so much, the other person that responded.
You're welcome.
Okay, yeah. So data storytelling, all you said is correct. Is actually being able
There's
to.
one more person who said something. Let me read what he wrote. So Timmy in the chat said it's explaining data so as to make or recommend a decision.
Great. I like all your definitions. These are all correct. There's no hard and fast rule to data storytelling, but there are some key things that must be applied if you want to successfully tell the story of your data. Yes, data storytelling does involve visualizations, but also more than just visualization, because you can visualize anything and it doesn't tell any insights. I've seen dashboards on LinkedIn, I've seen dashboards on Twitter, and some of them are good. They have good storytelling. Just by looking at the dashboard, I should understand what this person is trying to tell me. But some dashboards, when you look at it, you just be confused and you're like, what's going on here? You are seeing bar charts, you are seeing pie charts, you are seeing bar charts, you are seeing column charts, you are just seeing different kinds of charts, and you're like, what is going on here? Some people just try to make their dashboard aesthetically beautiful. It might just be fine, but it doesn't tell any story. So data storytelling basically is the harmonious blend with data. That is the backbone of any insight, narrative, and also visualizations. Visualization makes it easier to read your insight, while narrative gives context to your insight. Narrative doesn't necessarily have to be a write-up, but there's a way you can visualize your insight in a dashboard that makes it easy for the stakeholders to grasp what you are saying when you are presenting your insight. So basically, there's a 5 seconds rules with the dashboarding. So you're supposed to look at your dashboard just by 5 seconds. You should understand what's going on, basically. And most times when I look at dashboards out there, I'm always confused, honestly. I'm always confused. I don't know if anybody have had this issue whatsoever. If you see a dashboard, you're like, what's happening here? You can just indicate by an emoji or something, I've had this issue. So I can know we are all in the same boat. Or it's just me that has issues pointing out people's problem with people's dashboard. So I just want to know we're following. So that also shows me you're following as well as I'm talking. So has anybody seen any dashboard and they're like, what's going on here? Okay. All right. So aside from a harmonious blend between data, narrative, and also visuals, I would say data storytelling is more than numbers. It involves context, explanation, and a narrative, like I said. You should be able to tell what's going on in that business. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say you are a data analyst in an e-commerce company, and your stakeholder, let's say an executive member in the board, asks you to estimate by what percent did they make an increase in sales. Like, for example, as of last year, if you are the kind of person that is not familiar with data storytelling, you probably do something like this. You say last year we had 2 million sales, and this year we had about 7 million sales. And these are numbers you can relate with. Just say that they are like a large set of numbers. Let's say 2 million and 400 and something thousand sales, 5 million and 700. Very complex to actually interpret what's going on. And your boss asks you, please, by what estimate did we grow? We did grow in the business, or did you not grow in the business? That objective alone should define your story. You can go ahead and say something like this. As at last year, we grew by 20% in our sales. That tells a story. You're not just showing data, you're not just showing numbers, or you're kind of person that just shows the bar chart that shows an incline and decline of several numbers, but it doesn't really depict or make any meaning. So that is not data storytelling, because you can have dashboards that just have the most random visualizations, honestly, and doesn't tell the story. So that's what we're going to find out today. We're going to know what is data storytelling. So let's go straight to the 3 pillars of data storytelling is data, visuals, and narrative. So the first one is data. Data is hard facts and figures, basically. And as I said earlier before I started the presentation, that data is increasingly growing. And there's no how. Somebody has to make sense of that data, because the future depends on the data of the past, basically. Because before we make plans for the future, we need to rely on previous data. So definitely data is important. You can't tell a story or a data story without data. Even normal script writing, people that usually write scripts for movies, they usually rely on data. So they have to go and make research on what is supposed to be told in this particular story and how it will engage the audience that will actually listen to that or watch that particular movie. So data is very important when you are crafting your data story. And one thing about data, you have to look at the objective of the analysis you are performing. You don't just pick random data sets and start analyzing to give insights. Let's say your boss requires a particular thing from you. You should get the data sets that will give results for that particular thing. Let's say sales growth. Obviously, you're supposed to deal with sales data, not go and pick HR data on performance of the employee. That doesn't make sense. So you need the right data to tell the right story. So the next thing is visualizations. You must be familiar with how to present your data in simple visualizations, like the growth rate of a business. You must know that sometimes it's not everything per chart. We already know that. I believe everybody's already familiar that you shouldn't have more than 3 parts in a pie chart, because it doesn't make sense. Because when you start having more than that, it doesn't represent any insight or any sense at all. You won't be able to interpret what's going on in that pie chart. So just leave it at 3, at most 3. The least should be 2, because you can't just have one entry in a pie chart, right? So 2, 3 is okay for a pie chart. That is just an example of a pie chart. There are other charts as well. And when you want to represent things, like the increase in sales, for example, I'm saying sales because sales is relatable to everyone. Because if I go to another domain like energy, most people don't know what's happening in the energy domain, honestly. So, but sales is very relatable. Everybody knows buying and selling. So it's easy to understand. That is why I'm always talking about sales. So it's easier to represent the growth of a business over time with a line chart. You see the steeps and you see the dips as well, and you also see the inclines as well. It's easier to do that with a pie chart. I'll walk you through all of this, but this is just me explaining the 3 pillars that is involved in data storytelling, not just visuals. You need your data, you need visualizations, and lastly, narrative. As a data analyst in any organization, narrative is very important. Context is important. You're not just telling a random story. It's not a folk tale. You are working with data here, and you must have the necessary domain knowledge for the business you are working with. A data analyst, you're not just there to come and do VBA and DAX. Please actually sit down in meetings. If you're already working in an organization, understand what is happening with the business. Get solid background knowledge, because that narrative will be very important when you are talking to your stakeholders. That way you'll be able to engage you get their engagement, and you also engage them emotionally, because this is their business, right? They have so much investment into it, and they want to make profit. Because when you are involved in the business and you have concrete domain knowledge, you'll be able to narrate the story your data is telling properly. So let's go straight to the next thing. Why is data storytelling important? I mean, I'm a data analyst. Why can't I just do my DAX formulas, my M language, and probably write some Python scripts and be over it? Why do I need to tell a story? Like, I already do a lot of complex stuff anyways. What is so important about data storytelling? But I'll tell you that it is the new language of business. It bridges the gap between the insight and the business action. The insight, the analysis, after doing your analysis, the insight and the business actions. And also, lastly, it empowers decision making. It makes our decision makers make the right decisions. Because if they are depending on you solely on the organization's data to bring about insight, they can make decisions with. Because actually, a lot of organizations are learning so much about data literacy. So everybody's dependent on data. Nobody's doing tumbo in this part of the country. We are not in Nigeria. Tumbo means guessing. Nobody's guessing or relying on their guts anymore. I feel I should do this. Nobody is doing I feel I should do this anymore. Everybody is relying on solid, hard facts. That is data. And it's your job as a data professional or as a data analyst to be able to relay this insight in a way that a non-data professional, that is someone that does not know all your DAX formulas, can easily understand and make decisions. So just to put all of this into a context, I will tell a story, because this is data storytelling anyways. So just imagine you are in an organization. I'll still be using sales. You're a data analyst in an e-commerce, and your boss asks you, We made so much loss in the last quarter. Can you find out the reason why we made so much loss in the last quarter? You do your analysis, you do all the complex technicalities, which are important for a data analyst. Without all these things, you won't even have a story to begin. You find some correlations and you're like, wow, the reason why the business is not doing so well is because we actually stopped our promotions in the last quarter. And before that last quarter, we had so much sales, more than previous quarters. And immediately we stopped the promotions, people stopped buying our products. And that's why we had a decrease in sales overall. So now you know this insight. This insight, you already understand the insights. Now, how do you tell your stakeholder this? How do you narrate this to this? Will you just announce numbers based on quarter QA? In Q1, we did so amount of sales. In Q2, we did so amount of sales. In Q3, this is the sales. Now, go and tell your stakeholder that. It doesn't make any sense. Or does it? I'm sorry, just to make sure everyone is following. Can anybody indicate that they are following? So I know I'm not just talking to myself. So does it make sense if I'm just announcing numbers and showing bar charts and pie charts, like just showing a random view? It doesn't make any sense. You actually have to calm down, look at your insights again, based on the domain knowledge you have of the business, craft out a narrative and tell the proper story. Then you come and meet your stakeholder because that is what he wants to see. The reason why you are hired as a data analyst anyways is for them to make sense of their data, right? So the new language of business. It is the new language of business because you'll be talking to your stakeholder. Stakeholder does not know DAX. I'm sorry, your stakeholder does not know DAX. So you don't need to come and be telling him, I applied this DAX formula to get this, so. You will just board the stakeholder. The person is just like, why did we even hire this person? If I want to be doing some mathematics by myself, why do I need to hire this? And one thing about data storytelling, you don't give your audience the option to start calculating anything. That is why you are there. You don't tell them numbers, so they will now start calculating in their head. Since we had this, probably that is why there's 20% sales. So this is how you narrate this particular story. You tell your stakeholder in this manner. As our last quarter, I discovered that we stopped our promotions for this particular product. So we discovered that a large percentage, like 70% of our customer base, declined their orders for this particular product. That is why we have a decreased amount of sales. This story I told is not just made up; it's backed up with data. Your organization stakeholder knows it's backed up by data. Based on that, you can make decisions. That way, you've spoken the language of data. You set the mind of the stakeholder. The stakeholder knows what you are saying. You've bridged that gap between your data analysis and the business action. You've been able to relate your insight in a proper manner. And also you've empowered decision making. This kind of thing, you're not just relating insight. Now they can make decisions from this. Now they know that, oh, because of the promotions, that means in the next quarter we have to set up another promotions. Probably that is when they invite a data scientist to come and do some forecasting. If we do promotions in this manner, based on what we did before, can we estimate the same result or a better result? So decisions are made based on your insight. You tell it right. So let's go to the next thing. Now we're going to the concept of data storytelling. Now we'll start with the significance of data storytelling. That is driving actionable insight. It makes data accessible and understandable to all. Data is not just supposed to be understood by data professionals, data analysts, engineers, and scientists, even non-data professionals, like even the cleaner in your organization is supposed to have the littlest data literacy. Like, why is data important? In fact, these market women actually use data to make decisions as well. So they actually go to the market to get something like maybe salt, and they discovered as our last week it was 20 naira. So they go to the market with that mindset. That is data. They go to the market with that fact, with that figure in their head. They discover there's a hike in price, but they relied on the data of the past. So they actually work with data. So when you are trying to relate insights, you should think about the audience you are working with, because it's not just you that should understand what's going on. Everybody in that room, including the most, even the person that you think that does not have the most data literacy, should understand what's going on in that business. So the next thing, enabling stakeholder engagement. Enable stakeholder engagement. You have to learn how to engage your stakeholders. Data storytelling captures the attention of your stakeholders in split seconds. Once they see your dashboard or when you are relating an insight, they should be able to be engaged because it's their business. So it concerns them so much. So the next thing is influencing decisions. Your storytelling must influence decisions. And so we are not just telling random stories. It's not a, how will I put it? It's not a walk in the park or something. It is your job as an analyst. Your insights must tell the story, right? Your insights must influence their decisions. There must be promotions in the business based on your story. So let's go on to the next thing. So this is just me saying every data analyst must have this skill, must be a good data storytelling. And it's not just about visualizations. Narrative is there, concrete facts and figures, and also the visualizations as well. So let's go to the next thing. Now I'll teach you how to craft a data storytelling, a data story. How to craft your story. First thing is conceptualization. So for conceptualization, every data story should have context. Like I said previously when I was talking about narrative, you must understand the business. You must have domain knowledge. You're not there to punch numbers. You're not just there to do VBA. Apologies. VBA is good. Please learn VBA. It's very important actually. So you're not just there to know VBA. You must understand the business. If you're working in an e-commerce, what is happening in the business? How do they make sales? How do they grow in their business? How do they impact change? These are things that you must know as a data storyteller. This actually helps you form narrative. Because if you don't know anything about the business and just want to analyze your data, what exactly are you doing? Because people will use this, your insights, to make decisions. And yeah, as the world is growing in data literacy, that is the way forward from now on. Even AI is backed up with data. Everything about ChatGPT is data. So it is important you have some context and understanding of the business. So the next thing is engagement and emotions. You should know what strikes the chord of your stakeholder. Like, let's say the co-founder of an organization. You should know that, yeah, all that matters to this particular stakeholder is how to make profit for the business, how to expand the business, probably is a startup, how to become a unicorn in a few years before they become an established organization. These are things that actually strike engagement and make you know that and make the stakeholder know that you are actually interested in the business growth and you're not just there announcing figures and numbers. This is how to craft a good data story. So the next thing is simplicity and clarity. Nobody wants to hear your technical jargons. Nobody wants to hear your complexities. Be simple and straight to the point. A, B, C, X, Y, Z. No need to do A plus B plus D. All those things actually make people more confused and even know how to start making decisions anyways. So be clear and be simple. So let's move on to the next slide. Best practices. Now, this is the practical part of our presentation today. Best practices in dashboard design. How to tell the story of your data at a glance. Many of us already know how to do a dashboard on Power BI. We are familiar with the drags and drop. We are familiar with the calculated table, calculated field. We know all of this. But do we know how to best design this dashboard so that a stakeholder can look at this dashboard and already understand what's going on in 5 seconds? That's the rule. 5 seconds rule of dashboarding. So the first thing you should know about best practices, right? I already said this before. Your data, the data you're using for your analysis should be defined by the objective. I believe that every organization has a pool for data, a data warehouse or a data storage where you pull data to do some analysis. When a stakeholder asks you for something, you should be able to know from the objective the right data to use. You shouldn't be using the wrong data to make to give insights for a particular issue. You'll just be going in circles and you will never come out with any insights whatsoever. So the right data is always important. Clarity. I won't be talking about analysis because this is data storytelling. I won't tell you you should know the best practices for analysis. Maybe for another session, if I'm invited, I can also take you through some data analysis best practices as well. But for now, we're just sticking to data storytelling. So clarity. A cluster data dashboard can overwhelm and confuse. I'll show you an example, but first of all, let's move through all of this to get the point. So clarity, it should be clear. I said it earlier, it should be clear. You don't need to, maybe say you do an analysis and you discover that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 correlations. You should pick the most important ones because you don't necessarily have to put all the visualization in one dashboard. It's a bit confusing and everybody is lost on what you are trying to see. So you should put the most minimal visualizations on your dashboard. So it has to be clear and it has to be simple. Nobody's asking you to design an AI generated dashboard because I'm seeing that a lot everywhere. Honestly, Your dashboard is not supposed to be that complex. Just pick a theme color, so you won't have colors all over the place. And I think there's a website you can go to get theme color. It's called Colors, actually. It's a website. I think I can drop the link after this session. That is where you can pick theme colors for your visualizations, or you can stick to the theme color of your organization. Or if you already work as a data analyst, you stick to the theme color of your organization to make it simple and attractive as well. So make it simple so that it can easily perceive. And also visual hierarchy. You should align your elements in a logical sense. Let's start with the cards, for example. In Nigeria, in this part of the country we read from left to right. We don't read from right to left. So anytime you are reading a text, you should design your dashboard in that manner. Let's say you are living in another part of the world whereby they read from right to left. You design your dashboard in that setting. But in Nigeria here, in this part of the world, we read from left to right. So the first point you want due to that fact, your stakeholder is going to start from the left side of your dashboard. So the first thing they should see is already tilting them to the story. You should already start telling the story from your cards. You should already start telling the story of your data before it goes down to the analysis. I personally prefer to put my cards on top and not by the side, because if you put your cards by the side, you align them vertically. You give the stakeholders stress by allowing them to read through vertically instead of horizontally, because that way they read line by line. So once they see the cards, these are important KPIs. Cards are important KPIs that must always be in your dashboard. That already tilts them to the story. It already tells majority of the story already. Your visualization just highlights some integral parts of your analysis. So once you place your cards at the upper part vertically from left to right, your stakeholder already understand what's going on. Then visualizations like bar chart, pie chart, and all that will just highlight some key parts of your analysis. So that's all about visual hierarchy. So the next thing is visual layout. I don't think you can see this because of this. I think, okay, great. Okay, place elements in the way that guides the users through the data. Like I said, visual hierarchy and visual layouts are similar, and also you should give some space. It should not be clustered. You don't need too many charts. In fact, having like 10 visualization in one dashboard is a lot. Sometimes it might be as minimal as just 3, 2. 2 is too small. 3 to 5 or 6. But having up to more than 10 is a lot. It even skews the whole storytelling. You don't even know what's going on anymore. So that is all about the best practices. Now let's look at this case study. Then I'll take you through the dashboard on Power BI. So for the case study, we'll be looking at Chips Co. Let's imagine it as a very popular chips brand in Nigeria or any part of the world where you are listening to me from. Chips Co is a chips. They produce chips, right? And they are a retail organization. So they sell to the customers directly. And their specialization is in variety of chips. They make different types of chips. As you can see BBQ chips, spicy, cheese chips as well. And they have a diverse product range. They have different kinds of product, different tastes and flavors. As you can see, there's a variety of chips. So people tend to buy differently based on the type of customer base or the type of location they are selling to. And also they have presence in different geographical locations. They are spread across the north, south, east, and west of Nigeria, for example. So just take a cue. Let's look at it. Maybe Chips Co might not be familiar because it's a fictional organization. Let's look at it as Maryland. Maryland is a very popular biscuit that we all eat. In Nigeria here, if you are in Nigeria, there's a biscuit called Maryland. So we all eat Maryland. So just look at it from the Maryland perspective so that it can make sense when we go to the dashboard. So this is all about the business. Let's say it's a retail company. They do sales basically. They produce their manufacturing company. They produce these chips and also sell these chips. So we'll be looking at it from the sales domain. I don't want to talk about manufacturing. So many of us might not be familiar with manufacturing, but buying and selling is very, very known to everyone. So let's go. So the purpose of the dashboard. The purpose of the dashboard is to provide a clear, concise, and comprehensive view of Chips Co sales performance. We want to look at how their sales are doing. Your stakeholder already asked, so this is the objective of the analysis. Just want to see how their sales is going. For let's say for this particular year, for the first financial year. We want to maybe compare it to the previous financial year if they did much better. And also, it should be this dashboard should be quick and easy to grasp. Like key metrics and trends should attract attention in 5 seconds. Like I said, that's the rule for dashboarding. So let's go straight to it. So I'll stop sharing this and I'll go straight to that Power BI. I hope you can see my screen. So, okay, great. Here we have it. So let's look at this. Let's look at this dashboard, for example. So we'll be comparing two dashboards basically. So look at this dashboard. What do we think of this dashboard? I want somebody to respond. Can somebody tell me what this dashboard is saying? I've been talking about data storytelling all day. From this dashboard, can anybody give me a story? I want to know the story. I want to know the inside. I already said 5 seconds rule. From this, you should already know what's going on. So please, can somebody raise up their hand and tell me so I'll know whether you have been following me from the beginning of the webinar? So can anybody tell me what they think of this dashboard?
So actually, some people are also typing in the chat, but I'm going to promote one person who I seen his hand up already.
Okay.
Noted Ibrahim. Ibrahim, if you want to unmute, I've made you a presenter. Okay, Ibrahim, we can't hear you. You might eventually, maybe if you think typing it might be easier. Because I see you are trying to say something, but nothing is. We're just hearing like static.
I will type it.
Okay, now we heard that you type it, which is strange. That's the only thing I've heard. Jennifer, are you able to also see what they put in chat, or shall I read them? So in chat, oh, so we have two Jennifers actually. I thought you're the only one we get. Your namesake says no story, 160K sales, not good. Prince says cluttered. Emmanuel says layout not properly in sync, data not properly labeled. So those are all the comments we have from people. Jennifer, are you there? Okay, Jennifer, I do not. I think your phone is disconnected actually. I don't know. I now see that it's also no longer showing in the meeting. Just your computer is showing. I've made your new phone a presenter. So I think you should be able to speak. Jennifer, can you hear me? I've added your phone. I see you've joined again. So I added your phone to the list of ones that can unmute.
Okay, great. So where you are trying to look at the dashboard,
Your
see,
screen is no longer sharing. You might have to.
but from what you saw, does anybody have any comments, any stories they can tell from that particular dashboard?
Yeah, so they replied. You didn't hear all what I read. If you see the chat, there are like 4 responses.
I did
And
not hear that.
oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Maybe by then you are disconnected. So they all a lot of people replied that it's not looking good. It's cluttered. The layout, no. Let's see, like that's just the figures without the anchor. So yeah, mostly everybody was saying cluttered, not good, the layout too.
Okay. So how many of us okay, we've made our observations. We can see that this dashboard doesn't actually tell any story. Does not visually give any. So you can see that data storytelling is more than just visualization. Are these not visualizations? These are visualizations, right? And you can see that it is more than just giving visualization, giving random visualizations to our data. No. This visualization must peak. Your data, your stakeholder must be able to understand what you are saying from your dashboard. Like I said, 5 seconds rule. So let's look at the first one. I'll take you through it and we'll talk about what is wrong about this. It was supposed to be a very practical session, right? So after this session, you can also apply this knowledge to whatever dashboard you are making. So let's look at this. So this pie chart now, this is supposed to be the total sales by product, right? And from here, everything looks the same. So let's say if you want to quantify which product is doing better for the business, which particular type of chips should they, maybe they want to make decision on how they should produce, for example, and how they should manufacture. Based off of this now, they can't quantify if BBQ chips, cheese chips, classic chips, or spicy chips should actually be at the forefront. You cannot make sense of this. It doesn't even make any sense. Like they also look the same. Like, should we just produce everything since everything is the same now, Abi? So does not make any sense. Number 2, let's look at this particular visualization. Okay, this is supposed to be total sales by region. Okay, maybe if you click on it, you can be seeing the amount, but you're just giving the stakeholder unnecessary calculations to do in their head. That is why you are there. That is why you are the data professional. You're supposed to analyze data, bring insights for actions, right? So based off of this now, now the stakeholder can be seeing the numbers. Okay, now he will actually have to get his calculator by the side and start punching numbers. Okay, it seems like the North is doing better than the West. Oh, the South, they are doing exceedingly well. Wow, the East. But then how do we make decisions based off of this? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't relate a point. So this visualization is even wrong to begin with. Then let's go to this one. I believe since it doesn't even have a title, like, how do I even understand what's going on here? But I can see total sales, sum of total sales. I want to believe that it's the sales by quarter and by month. So now, if your stakeholder asks you, because of his question, which region, I mean, which quarter of the year, as at last year, did we do the most? Did we do the best? How did we sell the most? So your stakeholder has to come to your dashboard and start scrolling down and probably get calculator and paper this time and barrier and start jotting. Okay, it looks like this particular number is bigger. Q2 April. You can see that. Wow, it's plenty. The sales is much. So we can make decisions. No, decisions cannot come out of this. It doesn't make sense. How will I make decisions off of this? So yeah, and you have slicers and you have this slicer. So now if I press BBQ chips, wow, it doesn't make sense. So the slicer is not even the slicer. The important thing is not about just putting slicers and all of that. The slider does not even help you make any decisions safe. So there's no point. Now let's go to the cards. Like I said, in this part of the world, we read from left to right. So these cards are not even properly aligned and they are aligned vertically. Like I said earlier, it's always best to align your cards horizontally so they can read line by line. They can follow my mouse. They can read in this manner. It's always best if your stakeholder just sees the cards and is going in this direction. And it's going in this direction, easier to read. Okay, they can see, oh, total number of products that we have. We have 4. Okay, overall sales, we have this. But then I have something to say about this. Honestly, if you have larger numbers like this, let's say you're working in millions and billions, for example, if you just leave the numbers raw like that, it will be confusing the stakeholders. When numbers start becoming plenty, it gets confusing. You can't make sense. You probably know these numbers, but then you can't make sense of it. So it's always good to put it in a compacted view. Like, it's better to put it in 159K. 159. Okay, your stakeholder is like, okay, that's $159,000, right? So that this or other parts are important. But if they want to really know numbers, maybe after they've understood the point of your analysis, maybe your stakeholder wants to call you back and tells you to give them numbers. That is when you start relating all these large numbers. Well, initially, it's not necessary. The point is the insight. First off, if they want to get numbers, that they can call you aside, or you can even indicate the numbers when you are labeling your charts as well. So, and look at this third card. I don't even understand what's going on with the title of the card. Price of 1 unit of the item we sell. This is not even. Your stakeholder has to read all of these long jargons just to understand that this is unit price per chips. Like per chip, this is the unit price. This is the price we sell our chips to the retailer, like to the customers. Like it doesn't make sense. And the growth rate, okay, this is the only thing. This is actually proper. It's the only good thing about this dashboard actually. From the growth rate, you can see that this is a growth measure from the last quarter. We can see that we actually declined in our growth. We declined in sales totally. And based on this, we can actually do something about this. The stakeholder knows that this is actually going to spur up action. But based on your other visualizations, you can't even know how to start. Okay, he has seen the growth rates, the growth measure rather. Should we check regions? Maybe it's because of a particular region didn't do so well. Should we come and investigate the types of chip? Maybe it's because of these chips wasn't doing so well. Maybe we didn't sell a lot of it. Or is it because of the seasons of the year, economic situations? So all of this, you can't even tell. This is the only thing that makes sense here. But the only thing I have against it is that everything is in smaller letter. Like it's supposed to present a sentence case. Like everything should be capitalized. Every word on our card visualization should be capitalized. Not like, I mean, the first letter of a particular word should be capitalized. I'll show you that's the next effective dashboard. This is an effective dashboard. So now we have a more beautiful dashboard. What do we think of this dashboard? Can somebody tell me the story? Can somebody just quickly describe? It doesn't have to be so, you don't have to tell me a very exciting story. Just tell me what's going on. I just want to know what's happening. From there, that's the data storytelling. Just tell me what's going on. Because I've given you context of the business. You understand what they do. So you understand what they are looking for, the aim of the whole analysis. So you should be able to tell me what's going on here based on all I've been saying. So can somebody raise up their hand I would like you to speak. Don't type. I want you to speak. I want somebody to speak and tell me. Maybe we can have 2 people so we can judge based on that. I think somebody is raising up their hand.
Yeah, and I've promoted him already, Olamilekan, so he can unmute himself. He's the only one, and I don't know. I'm not able to hear anything from him.
Can you hear me now?
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
we can.
Okay, I said the dashboard is apt, is precise, and the data are well labeled, and the sales manager can draw insight quickly. It does not need some further explanation before he can make his decision on which product is performing best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, great. That is an awesome observation, actually. This is very easy to read. Okay, somebody else is raising up their hand. Can we also allow them speak?
Done. So praise.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay. I actually also wanted to add the visuals are well, the title. So you can actually just read the title and then know what exactly the visual is about. Like the title is clear and direct to the point.
All right, thank you very much. Everybody's just giving observations on the look of the dashboard. Nobody's actually telling me any story. Let's assume you are the data analyst in charge and this is your dashboard. What is the story here? You already know the context of the business. It's not like you are ignorant of the context. So can somebody tell me, based on visuals, data, and narrative, this is the right data because this is the synthetic data for a fictional company. So it is right data. So based on the visuals and based on the narrative and the context you have of the business, you have some domain knowledge, even though it's just a little, just for presentation's sake. Can somebody actually tell me, give me like, let's say less than a minute story here. Can you craft out a story? Can you present to me like I'm the stakeholder? I can see some people raise up their hands.
It's the same people whose hands were up before. Maybe I'll lower it.
So is anybody okay? It seems that nobody wants to talk. Okay, let me just go ahead to talk. Okay, is this the same set of people that their hands are raised again? Or is another set of people taking so much time already?
If you want to say something, you can unmute. I see Jennifer. You can just unmute and say, then maybe Jennifer's hand is up first. Jennifer.
I just noticed that the growth rate is higher. Well, it was a decline more in the beginning of the year. So maybe that's what caused the decline and also want to focus maybe in the east because that's the lowest
Okay.
amount of sales, depending on whatever the year was.
Thank you, Jennifer. That's my namesake over there. My name is also Jennifer. Okay.
I think Olamilekan is and is also up. Olamilekan, you want to unmute?
A quick one then. The northern region had more sales.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, maybe the north and western region they had the same sales. So while the eastern region had the least of the sales, and um the total sales also, barbecue chips had more sales, and I think, yeah, that's all I can deduce for now.
Okay, great. All of your observations are correct. So now let me walk you through this dashboard, like as if I am a data analyst in this organization and I'm talking to you guys as the stakeholder. So let's begin. So we can see that we have 4 types of products, right? And the total sales as at 2022, because this is a 2022 sales performance dashboard, we are able to gather a sales of about $159,000, and the average unit price per chips is $3. And we can see that there's a decline in our sales. That is, the growth rate is minus 0.58%. So that should tell us that we did not do as much as we did as at the last year. So from the total sales by product, we can also quantify that the classic chips did the least. So that might be the reason for the growth decline in growth rate. So we need to investigate further on why classic chips is not doing so well. And the best chips so far for this year is the BBQ chips. So maybe we need to produce more of the BBQ chips for that particular for the next coming year. And so the total sales by region, you can see the north and west are matching each other. That is, they are at the same pace in terms of total sales. So we can actually keep pushing more sales in those regions since they are doing more, they are doing much better in terms of sales. And the south and the east being the least. The east being the least, we can push out promotions on our chips. Maybe they are not getting enough awareness based on what we are selling, and also month-on-month performance as well. We can see based on the season and based on the situation of the economy, it's possible that the reason why we have the least sales in February might be due to some economic reasons. Like in Nigeria this year, that was the election period, so probably people were not considerate of buying chips at that particular time period. And we have the most sales in July and in April rather, because it's labeled here, so we can be able to quantify that of April is more than June, even if they are closely marked. That's the reason why it is labeled. So we can see that we had more sales in April due to the fact that it might have been Easter period, and most family and friends would rather buy chips to celebrate Easter or any festival, festive season rather, in that particular time period. So this tells a story. It gives context. So if I would like to give recommendations, I would say we should investigate further on why classic chips in the total sales did not do so well, and why the eastern part of the regions also had the least sales. So we can be able to quantify why we had a decreased growth rate. So now that tells a story, right? And I didn't waste time. How many minutes did I talk? Your stakeholder already knows what is going on. He has the figures. You've done your research. You've added narrative. There are visuals here. They're not random. There are visuals here. You can be able to tell your story, and you can even press the stakeholder to speak to the data analyst. You do some forecasting, or maybe any other data professional, maybe machine learning engineer or whatsoever, based on your insights from this. They can talk to other parts of the data team to do some further analysis, maybe do some correlative analysis, do some forecasting on what to be like if we increase some places that are not doing so well, like the classic chips and the eastern part. And also talk to the marketing team and ask questions on why eastern part is not doing so well. Did you not push promotions out to the eastern part? Why were people not ordering? What was the situation around the eastern part in different times? You can even drill down to check the sales based on the time period. You can also drill down to quarterly sales. You can see by quarter that the best quarter for that particular year was the second quarter. Then you can also do some further research. You can tell your stakeholder, these are the findings for now. Since you wanted to know the basic sales performance, so you can add this to your recommendation. I can do some further research onto why this particular quarter is doing better. So that will require you getting more data and doing further analysis. So based on data we're giving, we're only giving sales data. So we cannot come and quantify why this class Q2 is doing more. So you give insights based on the data you have. So that is why right data is always important. You cannot give recommendations from what is not in your data. So you can also give assumptions because of the type of business you are working with. You also know that they are marketing teams. You also know that they also put out promotions because it's a business anyways. So that is basically all about this. So let me go back to my slide. We should continue from there. So okay, great. So we could see that the ineffective dashboard, the effective dashboard, which is the dashboard, had clear visualization, instant insight, and also decision enabling. While the ineffective dashboard, that's dashboard B, was overwhelming with information, misleading representation, and also lack of actionable insights. So you have known what to do and what not. So in terms of dashboard design and how to tell an enabling story, you are seeing that it's not just about giving random visualization. Visualizations are important, but it should not just be visualization. Data story is much more than visualization. It's narrative, data, and also visuals. So, and in conclusion of this webinar, I would like to introduce you to Brat. He wrote the book Effective Data Storytelling. I've read this book myself. That is why I'm able to pick out a few things about data storytelling. And it has, I want to read out this quote he said. He said, data storytelling is not just about visualizations, like I said. It's not about just visualizations. It's about weaving a narrative that resonates with your audience and it will compel them to actions. So you should take out your time to read effective data storytelling because it's a paramount skill for every data analyst. Presenting your insights to your stakeholder is very important. You might know technical stuff, but if you don't know how to talk about these insights, you might be at a disadvantage. So also, let's look at Cole. She also wrote the book Storytelling with Data. So I would like to read out this quote. She said, the ability to tell a compelling story with data is a skill that is becoming ever more important in our data-saturated world. Like I said, data is continually increasing. So it will continuously increase. There's no point data will stop increasing. And we need people that will make sense of that data. And if we eventually have those people, can they talk to people about their insights? Can they relate their insights effectively? So these are things they need to consider. So that is all about the code and key takeaways. So what can we say we took out of this webinar today? We have seen that. Okay, I would like to throw a question to the audience before I go to key takeaways. Please, I want to students, can somebody point out what they learned differently about data storytelling? Before now, you might have had an idea what it was, but from this webinar, did you get something different? That's a question. Can anybody raise up their hand? You can type it in the chat. I'll look through the chat to see your responses. Like, what did you get? What did you see differently?
In the meantime, I don't know if you are able to see the chart. So I think there are two, should I call them questions? Yeah, questions already there for you.
Okay. All right. I was thinking that once I'm done, I should attend to the questions.
Okay, all right. Makes sense. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, great.
So
anybody who wants to raise your hand so I can promote them? No hands up.
Okay, that's fine. So at least let's go straight to the key takeaways. So the key takeaways from this webinar is that you must have been able to see that data storytelling is beyond visualization. It's beyond that. Telling a story with data is transformative. It requires engagement. You must be able to engage your stakeholders or concerned parties that are presenting the findings to. Impact. There must be some level of impact to what you are saying. It should actually stir up the kind of desire in the heart of your stakeholders to make decisions for what you are saying. And also it should be actionable. From your insights, you should provoke actions. Something should be done when you've spoken about what you are saying. So that is all about data storytelling from my end. If you want to read more, like I said, I quoted some very important people that are very good with data visualization and data visualization and storytelling. These are key people in this niche of data analytics. You should check them out. You can follow them on LinkedIn and also get their books to read more about it. This is a very important skill, honestly. And I think most people don't have this skill. That's what I feel. Because when I look at dashboards out there, I'm just confused. But it's only a few dashboards I have actually looked at, and they're like, wow, the storytelling here is amped. I know what is happening. It makes sense to me. I have no understanding of how you performed your data analysis. But from this dashboard, I can tell that you did a good job. So this is an important skill. You should get their books, read them, and understand more about this aspect. So if you have any questions, I'll look through the questions from the chats and see if I can answer them. Okay, what would the CEO's dashboard of a group of companies include? Or it depends. Like I said, it's not just about designing dashboards, right? Like I said, dashboarding for data storytelling includes three pivotal things: data, visuals, and narrative. And I said the narrative has something to do with domain and context, right? So if you want to design a CEO dashboard for a group of companies, what is the business into? First of all, what do they do? What line of business? Is it manufacturing? Is it sales? Is it e-commerce? Is it fashion? Is it energy? So every CEO dashboard is going to vary based on the type of organization you are working with. For a sales, for example, I would say the important things the CEO wants to do is growth rate. Like I showed in that particular, the CEO's business is how is the business growing? How are we making sales? How can we improve sales? Which part of our business is doing the best? So these are things that are important for CEO dashboard for a sales organization. Why for energy might be totally different. It might just be like how, let's say, oil, for example. How are they transmitting oil? How fast are the let's say trucks that transmit the particular oil to different locations, and what are the best regions and all that in terms of oil distribution. I'm not so sure about the energy domain, but I'm just giving assumptions. So it's based on the type of business before we quantify what is supposed to be in the dashboard. Okay, someone said, thanks for the class. How can I add voice to my dashboard instead of writing the insights? Writing the insights on my dashboard always looks too long, and sometimes like voice on the Mr. Michael's data analysis recording for the scholarship as a sample. Okay. Like I said, your dashboard alone can tell the story from your dashboard, because the people you are presenting these dashboards to are already aware of what's going on in the books, right? Well, if you want to put a side note of the insights, it is fine, but I'm not so sure of adding voice, or unless you want to personally present these insights to your stakeholders, but I'm not too sure of the voice part. I don't know how you can add voice, but then the voice you can add to your visualization is making it simple and clear. Just by looking at it, the stakeholder already knows what is going on. And if he wants to get more clarity, he can invite you to speak more on it. And you can also add a side note based on all of this. This can be done. So that is all for today. Thank you for joining this webinar. If you have more questions, you can reach out to me through my mail. That's my mail. And also I'm on LinkedIn. You can also connect with me so we can share ideas, whether it is on complex DAX formulas or whatever aspect of data analytics. I'm willing to learn and also grow with everybody in the data community. Thanks so much for the opportunity to talk about data storytelling.
Thanks. I've just shared again your LinkedIn link. So anyone who wants to connect with you can use that. And just to give more opportunities, any questions? Do you have any questions you want Jennifer to address before we wrap up the session? Okay, going once. By the way, also, we would like I think two things I'm sharing. We need more speakers, and we'd just like you to also indicate what type of sessions you would like us to bring more of. So I've also shared like a feedback form where you get to tell us what types of sessions you want us to bring. Let me see. Voice. So I see your question, Olamilekan. Actually, it's a campaign. The one you said, the scholarship dashboard, that there was a voice. That's a proper. I didn't even do anything on that particular part, except if you meant the course itself. The course is an online course, so obviously there will be voice and training, like a training. And if it was the digit or shared online video, that one was done by our marketing team. So again, it was purely marketing. And to be sincere, over my since 2011 that I've been working for different both international, local organizations as data analyst. I've never had this scenario where they wanted me to add voice notes in their result in their reports, and usually too in the business environment, people don't really like voice notes like that. Even personally, if you send me chats and you send voice notes, the tendency that I will read it is super low. So in business environment, I think people prefer visual and text and not audio stuff. That's just my own opinion anyway. Thank you. Any other? So I see a lot of thank you to you, Jennifer. So Olufemi says thanks for the great presentation, Jennifer. Monsieur Anthony says thanks a lot, Jennifer. So I think you've done amazingly well. I know we had to battle some technology at the start, but it's good that we are ending very well. And I don't know if you want to, the one last question we ask people generally, and after that, maybe we'll be able to end the session, is to hear about your own journey, how you came into this data space, what motivated you, was it like your own lifelong calling that before they gave birth to you, your mom got the word from a prophet that this person is going to be this and that, and you had always known. It's to be nice to know that story. Then the second thing that you can squeeze in is your advice. So advice that you have for people just starting. So that's.
I did not get any prophecy from a prophet too. Well, personally, I studied petroleum and gas engineering, so I'm actually an engineer. Well, based on what I studied in school, but I'm not practicing engineering. I'm a data analyst currently. Well, I started my journey in 2021. That is when I finished my final year exams and I wanted to engage myself. I didn't just want to just wait for NYC. That's like a program we do in Nigeria where people are called up for a year to serve the nation. So I wanted to do something. So I heard of data. Initially, what actually pulled my attention to data was petroleum economics, because I really liked working with rows and columns, basically. So I wanted to do something in that line in petroleum engineering. So
Jennifer, your audio is gone. Hope it's not just me. It's also not. Hey, do you want to check your audio? We can't hear you. I think. Let me just confirm. I think our phone has disconnected. I see the computer is still in. Okay, maybe we just give a few seconds. Otherwise, I will just end the session. Since the good parties were done, actually. Let me just wait a few more, maybe one more minute. Let's see if she notices. Okay, so I think at this point, I will end the session. Thank you, everyone. It's almost like 2 hours. I'm just looking at the time. Whoa, thank you for staying this long. That means it's probably closer to, what would that be, 8 p.m. for those of us in Nigeria already. So thank you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your consistency. We hope to see you next week. And like I tell us, it's always a mix. We try to bring in variety. So what that means is is that different sessions. Today's session might look tough or simple. The one after might become the opposite. So we try to cover a different a mix of expert levels. So always know that when you join a session, it's today's session might be completely different from the one you joined yesterday. And it's always like that. So you need a mix. So thank you to everyone and see you next week. Bye.